What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here on the OddsShopper channel, coming to you with a wild card weekend edition of NFL Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video. Goes a long way for you. That way you become a prize whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. Don't know why I'm stumbling on my own little intro. It is what it is, friends. We're going to continue on our merry way. It is the wild card weekend. My Minnesota Vikings have now been shifted out to the desert. I will be at that game on Monday. Looking forward to that one. Producer Jacob's looking forward to not seeing me on Monday night, right? Just kidding. We'll probably record that afternoon no matter what. Anyway, we've got ourselves Lindy 50. That is 50% off your first week. That becomes $10. Or your first month. That becomes $25 for your first month of Lindy's Discord. You can jump into that there at Tails by OddsShopper. Would love to see you there. But we've got so much football. 6 games Saturday, 2 of them. Sunday, 3 of them. Monday, 1 of them. And that's the primetime event, right? They're all kind of primetime events. We're going to be betting every single game. There's only one game that I don't have a bet on right now. I'm super excited. I think we've got some edges. Let's go find them. Producer Jacob, let's get to the picks. Let's start breaking it down. The Chargers, road favorites, taking on the Houston Texans, which makes a lot of sense. However, there are some numbers that I'm still waiting for on the Texans side of things, because I have a feeling, this internal feeling, that you are going to see a lot more Deontay Johnson than you ever expected in your entire life on the Houston side of things. And that has got me a little bit trepidatious on just backing the Chargers here at 2.5. One, I think Deontay Johnson's pretty good at football. I know Pittsburgh Steelers fans, Carolina fans, well, he had a cup of coffee in Baltimore. Literally, I think 1 catch his entire Baltimore Ravens career. But what it comes down to is Deontay Johnson can be a difference maker, stretcher of the field. Also a guy well suited to go into the slot here. Nico Collins on the outside. It makes a lot of sense for them to give him as many snaps as possible. Now, he only had 22 in his debut there with Houston last week, but I'm throwing this out there again. I think we see a lot of Deontay Johnson on the field, and I want to be invested somehow, some way, but books are very, very cautious here at this point in time here. I'm going back through and double checking, even since we started recording here. They have Mechie, they have Stover, they have Hutchison, they have Woods. They do not have Deontay Johnson listed. So if he ends up inactive, I apologize. Everything I said was for naught, but I think they like what they saw the other weekend. I just need you on high alert for it. I almost put it in the lean section, but hey, this is a little bit of a bonus for the people who are listening to this right off the bat for Saturday morning's game, Saturday afternoon. But we've got ourselves the Chargers. And the Chargers have a really good passing game of their own. And obviously, I do think the Chargers should be favored. I do think this line is pretty efficient, though. Probably going to be staying away from it at 2.5, 3. I know 3 kind of the prevailing number at most of your books here now at this point in time. You can get 2.5 still at minus 115 if you look at the right shop. But Ladd McConkey, this guy, I mean, we've seen the passing rate over expectation go up here for the Chargers as Harbaugh has kind of unleashed Justin Herbert and Ladd McConkey and Quentin Johnston, who's questionable entering this game for what it's worth, as is J.K. Dobbins, but I think both play. And I think Ladd McConkey can be a difference maker. Obviously, Georgia missed him this season, just saying, but Ladd McConkey, over 1,100 yards receiving, 82 catches. If it weren't for the likes of the ridiculous Malik Neighbors season, the ridiculous Brock Bowers season at the tight end position, and Brian Thomas Jr. there in Jacksonville, we would be talking incessantly about how good Ladd McConkey is and how great this rookie season has been. But we're seeing 95, 94, 87 yards receiving the last 3. Houston, they're going to do a lot of different looks to try to mix things up on him, because outside of it, Johnston, we know he's going to be on the boundaries, basically running straight lines up and down, trying to high point some footballs from Justin Herbert. But come red zone, it's Ladd McConkey season, friends. He had 7 touchdowns on the season, but in recent weeks, we've seen 2, we've seen 1. We've also seen a lot more trips to the red zone for these Chargers. 34 points against Vegas, 40 against New England, 34 against Denver. And you're getting the primary wide receiver and a guy that, hey, if J.K. Dobbins is actually dinged up, Gus Edwards, he runs into the back of the line of scrimmage like it's his job. You're supposed to go beyond the line of scrimmage when you're inside of the 5, Gus Edwards. It is what it is. But we got Ladd McConkey at plus 145 here on DraftKings. DraftKings, coming to the party. Appreciate you guys, because FanDuel, they've been banging the drum here for the anytime touchdown market all season long. Been the best odds, bar none, Nice to see DraftKings offering better numbers there. Plus 145 or better. Plus 145 it is. It's plus 130 or better. I want in on Ladd McConkey. 3 versus 6 up here next. Pittsburgh getting 9.5 points, taking on Baltimore. Seen this one twice here. One with George Pickens, one without George Pickens. Let me tell you, the one with George Pickens went better, although the guy is a little crazy lately. He's like the new Antonio Brown of Pittsburgh here at the moment. It's just insane to watch him pick fights. And against Cincinnati, one of the worst defenses in football, all of 1 catch on 6 targets, like not even remotely involved from Russell Wilson. Didn't have a ton of time back there for whatever it's worth. But Pittsburgh, they sneak into the postseason, and here we are taking on their divisional rivals. We've seen 2 games again. 18-16 W there with Deontay Johnson. Pretty wild stuff there. But then you go to the other direction, and no Deontay Johnson week 16 ended up being a complete stone-cold disaster. Not for Lamar Jackson, though. However, no Zay Flowers in this football game. You're going to see Rashad Bateman probably line up as your number 1 here over and over and over and over and over. And Nelson Aguilar, but I think Tylan Wallace probably ends up on the field quite a bit. Tried to take a look at some of his props. Still not available. So that's 2 games on Saturday, and they are very cautious about both guys that I want to be invested in. We're talking about from the previous game, Deontay Johnson, and from this one, Tylan Wallace, who I think can be a little bit of a difference maker going forward. I think he's a lot better than Devontae Walker based on what I've seen here so far this season. And Devontae Walker, I guess I haven't seen that much of him, if we're being honest. Let's go to Justice Hill, though, because this is probably the guy who benefits sneakily. A little bit of sneaky. We're getting very sneaky, sir. You don't disturb the sneakiness, but never underestimate the sneakiness. That's what it is. But Justice Hill, I think they're going to get him out on the field a lot more this time around, purely to get that passing game involvement, purely to help out Derrick Henry, who we know is going to get a boatload of carries against Pittsburgh. Whether or not that's effective, we shall see. But without Zay Flowers, I think your second best pass catcher outside of Mark Andrews on this football team. I get Rashad Bateman's been good this season, but Justice Hill, I think he is really, really dynamic out of the backfield. Have you watched any of his tape? I mean, it's outrageous, actually. And he had 42 catches this season. I think that's a pretty large number for a guy who is a running back behind Derrick Henry. That's a huge quantity of receptions for, I would say, an ancillary piece and a guy who only played 15 games because of that concussion. So Justice Hill back in our lives. I think he's really primed for 30 plus rushing plus receiving yards. I see 28.5 the prevailing number. In case anything moves, I wanted to give you the flexibility to go to 30 here because I have him at 40 and change. So that's called a play, and this is called next game. You want to clip something for social? You want to clip something for social? Here is your social clip. Denver, 8.5-point dogs going into Buffalo. And if I have one take this entire weekend that you take with you that you can either mock me or you can come back and say, Eric, you're a genius, it is this one. I think Denver beats Buffalo. They are plus 408 over at Circa right now. They are plus 375 at Bet365. And then there's a lot of plus 350s revolved all the way around the place. Now, all of those, I think, are positive EV. Obviously, you want to get the best odds. So if you have Circa, please be signing up, taking advantage of Circa in your state, Colorado being the biggie that has been added to Nevada and places of the sort. Very few states that they are at right now, but by far the best odds. Let's talk through what I am looking at here. And I think the big difference maker is Bo Nix is not your typical rookie quarterback, and he's gotten better and better and better as the season has gone on. And obviously, he's going up with kind of the de facto MVP. I mean, Josh Allen's played sublime football. I personally would vote for Lamar Jackson, but that is not neither here nor there. I love watching Josh Allen play football, and I met him at the Masters. A fun fact, humble brag. But anyway, we've got ourselves Denver with Marvin Mims Jr. starting to stretch the field and giving them not just that short A-dot, close to the line of scrimmage, rotate through your 3 tight ends type breaks for Bo Nix. But this is one of the most accurate quarterbacks we had in the college game forever. And Josh Allen, he made himself an accurate quarterback after a year of struggles his rookie season. He's been incredible. And I don't want to go out of my way to punish him and say that he's not good by any means. But Patrick Surtain is going to be out there for Denver. And Denver has had more QB sacks than any other team so far this entire season. They continually pressure their quarterback. 4 guys with 5+ sacks on their football team. I mean, this is a team on the defensive end that Josh Allen, if he is not connecting with Amari Cooper, who's just coming back late, if he's not connecting with Khalil Shakira, who's been awesome this season, don't want to take anything away from him. But I think Denver's defense can really keep this game much closer than plus 406 or plus 408. We are talking about one of the best opportunities, I think, to be getting like a 4-1 dog, purely because the offense has really good talent on the Denver side, specifically Cortland Sutton and Marvin Mims showing what I always knew he was capable of. Sometimes Sean Payton needed to remind him. But on the Buffalo side, again, their defense, I don't trust it. We saw them on turf wars against the Rams and against the Lions. They had no answer for either one of those offenses going in there. And Josh Allen just played heroic football. Can he play that same heroic football game in a do or die situation? I think he definitely can. He struggled, at times here against Patrick Mahomes and the Lightning. Steve Spagnuolo, fantastic football coach, but I think Denver has the recipe. Great defense, accurate quarterback, makes good decisions. Only 12 interceptions for Bo Nix. I don't agree that this is 4-1. I also would be setting this line at 7. So if you want to take the 8.5, I'm more than happy with you doing it. But I'm going for max upside, going for the screenshot. Denver money line. I like it. I'm an insane person. Lindy 50 friends down at the link below. If you want to get all the plays, not just for the NFL streets, but in the NBA streets, we're a nice little 5-1 day on Thursday. Felt pretty darn good about that for the people. DeAndre Hunter just didn't get in foul trouble, and if he could just knock down one more three, it would have been a sweep, and I would have brooms all over X, but alas, earwax. That's what Dumbledore would say. But anyway, $10 for your first week, $25 for your first month down at the link below. That's less than $1 a day to get all of my plays, to talk through the process. And trust me, anybody who is there knows I'm in there every single day talking process, answering questions about, hey, what do you think about this play, that play? I'm looking at parlaying this. Should I do this? And, usually the answer is going to be no, don't parlay it. But sometimes in the pick'em streets, you have to be firing up parlays of sorts. And hey, we're firing those up in the Discord as well. Very, very happy to bring you that as well. So if you guys are, whether you're in a state like Arizona, state like California, it doesn't matter. You're going to find some value there. It Lindy 50 down at the link below. Alrighty, y'all, back to the picks we go. All right, we're going to start getting normalized here a little bit. And yeah, this is the game that I unfortunately have a play on, but it's not going to be a play on this video. Let me explain. Green Bay was my first click. I bet their money line at plus 195 on Monday. Now, why did I bet that on Monday? Well, I didn't know if Jalen Hurts was going to get in or out of concussion protocol. And there was still some rumblings that there was a chance he wasn't going to be practicing in full right away. But Wednesday, their very first practice, sure enough, he's out on the field practicing in full. So don't bet Green Bay money line with me. And I apologize for the half unit to everybody in the premium Discord. It just felt like some kind of a stab we had to take because that number would have moved ferociously if it had been Kenny Pickett or this McKee fellow out at the quarterback position for Philly. But Saquon Barkley got put in bubble wrap, as did their entire offensive line, as did pretty much their entire football team last week. Nothing to really mine out of that one against Dallas. But we do have a very fascinating thing here on the Green Bay side because no Christian Watson. I feel terrible for this kid out of North Dakota State, one of the FCS legends. Can't get healthy, can't stay on a football field. And again, it is just some people are bit by the injury bug. He has been very unlucky, I would say, more so than anything, these non-contact injuries. Why it's him and not somebody else, you never know. But Jordan Love is the main question mark I have here. This elbow injury that he's got going, I don't know what to make of it, but it sounds as though he's not 100%, no matter what they try to spin or what Matt LaFleur says. The whole reasoning, again, of me trying to back Green Bay here early was that I thought that you had a chance where, again, it was more likely than not that he was going to be in, but I thought the number was already a little bit off, and obviously it hasn't moved all that much since. So if I had the news work for me, I would have been benefiting in a massive way. Hopefully that makes sense. But this also makes the most sense to me. Josh Jacobs, 16.5 rush attempts. We've seen Matt LaFleur, even in game scripts where you shouldn't be running the football that much, I'm talking about the Minnesota game, he's still found ways to feed Josh Jacobs down 3 scores in the third quarter. Josh Jacobs is just going to get a workload here. And Philly, obviously we know how good that secondary is. A little bit more vulnerable, I think, in the running schemes. They're still really, really good on the defensive side of the football. PFF's first graded defense. But Josh Jacobs over 16.5 rushing attempts. Haven't bet it. thought about it. I think it looks decent. Projects out closer to 18.5, but at minus 120, where it currently sits, best available at BetRivers. I think it's a pass, and I think this entire game at this point is a pass. Why do I have a Green Bay ticket? I'll tell you why I have a Green Bay ticket, because last year, I guess they cashed us big time against Dallas. That was a lock on this program. That was really fun. Producer Jacob, you remember that one? Huh? He was texting. Washington taking on Tampa Bay. I don't know what to tell you other than Washington, Jaden Daniels. You know by now where I'm going with this, I hope. He's been a cash cow for me. Every single time that I have bet in over on rushing yards for Jaden Daniels, he's cashed it this season. 3-0. 3-0 for me. I love this man. He's cashed locks. He's cashed 2 likes. That is a lot of units in my pocket, and I'm going to be looking at laddering. But first, let me set up the Tampa Bay side a little bit. Bucky Irving, we saw the tide really shift in his direction last time out. Bucky Irving, 19 carries, 89 yards, tutty, looked fantastic. Rachaad White, you have been sent to the shadow realm, never to be heard from again. 0 carries, 0 targets, 18 snaps. 18 total snaps last week for the guy who just continues to disappoint. He disappointed last year. It shouldn't be that surprising. Bucky Irving, though, out of Oregon, one of the more dynamic players. You watch him, he is so freaking good at football. I've known this for a while. And not to talk about best ball on this show, but highest down best ball running back. Nobody cares? Oh, yeah. We've got 8.5 months until next best ball season. I'm doing a lot of playoff best ball, though. I think Tampa Bay is a little bit sneaky, but I think Washington is even sneakier because I think Jaden Daniels, when you completely let him rip, when you say we need to win this football game at any cost, the improvisation, Cliff Kingsbury is going to walk into a head coaching job more than likely because of this kid. The kid is outrageous. He does so many things outside of the scheme of the offense that just change the entire dynamic of your offense. And Terry McLaurin, Olympus Zacchaeus, doesn't really matter the wide receivers. He's still been a pretty darn accurate quarterback and good with that portion of his game, but give me all the rushing upside here. 48.5, the prevailing number everywhere. We're going to take 50 plus. I almost put the ladder here in the corner, but there are some wide disparities between books. If you have DraftKings only in your state, do not ladder up Jaden Daniels. If you have FanDuel, ladder up Jaden Daniels, and ESPN really ladder up Jaden Daniels. Those are kind of my rules that I'm looking at. But Jaden Daniels, 50 plus rushing yards. We're going to keep it that one for a half unit for now. And welcome to the main event. My Minnesota Vikings taking on the Los Angeles Rams. The game goes from SoFi Stadium in California in Los Angeles to State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. Yes, this is being played on a neutral site. So let's talk about what's happened in the aftermath of that. First, Minnesota opened at 1.5. It's basically just moved 1 point to account for what is quote unquote a neutral site. Let me tell you, as somebody who's from South Dakota and both his parents are from Minnesota, and I grew up going to Twins Vikings games, there are so many snowbirds, and snowbirds being people who during the course of the like if you retire, or you could be working like my dad is, and they spend half the year in South Dakota and they spend half the year in Arizona. There are so many of their friends and family that do the exact same damn thing. It is crazy. There are going to be so many more Vikings fans there than there would have been at SoFi. This will be a glorified Vikings home game. And don't forget, the Cardinals, people who are Cardinals fans are not Los Angeles Rams fans. And so I know that the season ticket holders get the first crack at everything here, but you got to pay attention to stuff like this. I don't agree on just a 1 point move. This should be a 3. And as it sits inside of 3 here, home field advantage. If we can all agree that it's 2, 2.5, or maybe even 3, some people go as far as to say that. I usually keep it in the 2, 2.5 realm. I don't understand how we have only a 1 point move in this situation. Sure, you're going to have the Rams on the speaker. Sure, you're going to have, a number of Rams fans that I think, really have a lot of pride for their team are going to make the trek over to Arizona, 5.5 hour drive. I know it well, but I do think this is a great opportunity to buy low on a team that has lost to 2 teams the entire season, 3 games. 2 to the Detroit Lions and 1 to the Rams on a short week. There is nothing to mine out of that game on a short week. They played the Lions, then 3 days later, they take on a Thursday night, the frickin' Los Angeles Rams getting Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua back for the first time, where we didn't know their snap management. We didn't know that they would be basically full goes right from the get-go, and the Rams very schematically played that. I mean, they could not have done that much better. But playing this thing straight up, friends, you're going to want to get yourself a little bit of that Minnesota -2.5 down below. Brian Flores defense gets it done here. I think this is a pretty handy Minnesota Viking win. Skol. And that does it for another edition of NFL Lindy's. Head to the comment section below. Let me know your favorite plays that exist on the board for this lovely slate we have before us. Lindy50, that is down at the link below. Check it all out, my friends. Producer Jacob, thank you. Wildcard weekend in the books. I'll be back here for the divisional round, then the conference championships, and of course, then the Super Bowl. Would love to see you guys in the premium Discord. Let's cash some tickets together. I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the NFL streets this weekend for Wildcard weekend.